Marketing Deconstructed is the podcast where we cut through the noise and break marketing down into what actually works. I'm Jennifer White, founder of Five and Rise Marketing, and after 30 plus years in corporate, agency, and entrepreneurial marketing, I know this. You don't need more tactics. You need foundations, systems, and strategy that supports real growth. Here, we deconstruct marketing so you can simplify, refocus, and rise. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Marketing Deconstructed podcast. And on today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that maybe doesn't have so much to do with marketing, but it does have something to do with being intentional and starting the year out and I guess kind of anchoring the year in how you want to react to things, how you want to do things, how you want to live your life with intentionality, with authenticity. And that is picking your word of the year, which is really weird for me because I didn't start picking a word of the year until about 2 years ago. And I think it's been a trend for a little while now, but I think it didn't really hit me until I was going through a few things. I had started my agency and was a year in and really was looking at how I wanted to reflect for the year, how I wanted to do things, how I wanted to run our agency. I'd been shifted into moving from consultancy into an actual full service holistic marketing agency and with a team of people where I went with myself and an assistant to now a team of 5. And I was really trying to, I guess, anchor myself for the year and the company and look at the direction I wanted to go. And so I was looking for a word or something that I could wrap my head around. And so I created an exercise that I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. It's going to have a little nuance to it just because it's just something that I walk through. And so you can take this and write it down on paper. You can take the ideas, maybe run them through Chat GPT if you need a little bit of help. But I think the most important thing is that you look at this authentically and realistically and completely aligned with who you are, what you want to do, where you want to go, and how you want to live and lead in the next year or this year. Actually, I'm recording it in 2026. So, um, and then I'm going to actually share with you what the word is that I chose. And I'm going to kind of step backwards a little bit. So the first year I did this, my word was alignment or aligned because I was actually looking at how I wanted to align myself and what I was doing and where I was coming from. Um, Having been in the marketing world for now 35 plus years, been in corporate, been in agency, been in real estate marketing, worked for Fortune 100 company, and then moving to a consultancy where I was consulting with seeded startup companies and largely funded. I worked with companies that their first seed round was like $35 million. So larger startups, right, in that world. And then also some smaller companies. And the reason we started our agency was because when I was working with small startups, they weren't quite ready to hire an in-house team and they would ask me how and where to go for implementation of strategies and things that we had actually set out for them. And so that's where our agency Five and Rise was developed from. And over the past 3 years, it has substantially grown. We are now a 7-figure agency and continually grow our goals. We have some lofty goals coming in 2026. And so I wanted to make sure that the word that I looked at to align not only myself, but our company and our team was relevant. But that's kind of how it started for me. So I looked at how the first year was aligned and how we would align the company, our team, myself, not only in the agency, but in family, home, life, all of the things that we were doing. And then the next year, the word that I chose was intentional. And it was a much more personal word, I think, for me. But it was important for me as we were looking at adding more clients, more team members, and really kind of stepping into that year. I wanted to make sure that we were doing it with intentionality and that I was doing it with intentionality. And then I also then took that into my personal life as well and my kids and I sent my youngest off to college and so kind of moving through a different stage of life for me or a different season of life. So I wanted to make sure that all of the things that was doing were chosen with intention. Um, and because I am a founder and a CEO and I am hands on in everything that we do in our company, it was important for me to make sure that I was intentional about all of the decisions I was doing, all of the work that we were doing, all of the things that we were doing, all the communication, all of those things. So that's where the word intentional came in. And this year, I have some pretty lofty goals going into 2026, but and there's a lot of growth that I want to happen. However, I really was looking at what is it in 2025 that I want to leave behind and really focus in on 2026 and some of the changes and things that we're doing. But then how do I want to actually put all of those ideas and all of those goals into play without feeling like we are part of a hustle culture or part of like a frenetic energy, if you will. I just want to do it with calmness. I want to make sure that things are integrated correctly. I want to make sure that we are making subtle changes, but that don't upset the current clients that we are serving. I want to take away a couple programs that we're running and maybe add one program which aligns more with the direction that myself and our team want to head. And so in looking at that, I really took that information and kind of let it soak in, look at what goals that I had put forth for 2026, looked at what our client load is, look at what our team members are doing, made a few changes in that realm as well. And then just started kind of massaging that and asking questions about what I wanted to do going into 2026, how I wanted to lead going into 2026, how did we want to implement some of these programs in order to reach the goals that we have going into 2026. And so I wanted to share with you kind of the questions that I asked myself, maybe the thought process that I went through in order to pick the word of the year. So I will share that with you and then I will share my word and I'll share with you what it means in different categories in my life and the year as a whole. So let's kind of step into that. And I think first of all, the big question is, did you have a word of the year in 2025? If you did have a word of the year in 2025, then what I want you to do is maybe write that down on a piece of paper or, type it out on a notepad or on your iPad or, just kind of keep that in front of you. And then I want you to really think about how did you navigate the year with your word as you moved through 2025? Is it something that you set at the beginning of the year and then just kind of let it hang out here without doing anything? Or did you really align with it? And did you really actually use that to guide you as you made decisions, as you did things, as you made choices, as you did your daily living? Is it something that you relied on? Is it something that you always kind of had in the back of your mind when you were making those choices and decisions? So think about how you navigated the year with your word as you moved through it and, write down a few things that it was having that word in the back of your mind, how it was very helpful to you and maybe how it wasn't helpful to you. Write down some of those thoughts and feelings. And then as you look into 2026, I want to make sure that you think of in terms of that the word shouldn't jump ahead of how you're feeling and your nervous system or your reality, right? I want you to actually be really intentional on how you pick that word because you want it to be a guiding force throughout your year. And it should be something that builds on what you practiced in 2025, but not necessarily demand a new version of you overnight. I think so many people like pick a word and they're like, hey, I'm going to choose this word and I'm going to just jump into it with full force, not even really thinking about how it will integrate with what they want to accomplish in all of the areas of their life: work, business, faith, family, all of the different things that you are planning on encompassing in your life and living in this year. So look at questions like, don't ask who do I want to be or what do I want to become, but instead ask something a little bit more thought provoking or intentional, such as how do I want to live inside what I've already built? So for me, the reason this question became important is because I already have a really good foundation on what we want to do, and that I want to actually take that foundation and build upon it, maybe make some subtle shifts, but I want to just continue to build on what I already have going on, right? So, how do I want to live inside what I've already built? That's why sometimes words like aligned or refined or expansive actually feel hollow. And that's important too when you're thinking about your word is I really want you to actually think about it. How does it make you feel? I don't want you to just think about it for 5 minutes or even an hour and say, okay, that's my word. That's what I'm going to leap into. I want you to think of things that actually are happening and are integrated versus just imply motion, right? We all want to move forward. We all want to grow, but I don't want you to feel like the word that you pick has to only be that, right? I want you to think about, again, all of the different things that you're living in this coming year. So, another question I want you to think about is when you imagine 2026 going well, what does it feel like to you? Um, does it feel like expansion or growth? Does it feel like you want to make some kind of a shift or a pivot? Or do you want it to feel like it's relieving something, maybe some of the past busyness of 2025, and that you want to move into the year with more of a feeling of sustained well-being in, again, all of the different areas of your life. And then taking all of those thoughts, write a few sentences about how you're feeling. Sometimes the word that you're choosing will actually hide in a sentence that you are writing about all of those things, right? And once you've written all those down, then take a few moments to read through them slowly. Notice which ones loosen something inside of you, make you feel a certain way. Is it something that's comforting? Is it warming? Are you feeling loose in your chest and in your body? Or is it making you anxious or uptight or just uncomfortable? You don't want to choose a word that makes you feel uncomfortable because then your 2026 is going to be uncomfortable. So, kind of think about that looseness in your body and how you're feeling as a clue for if the word is the right word and that it actually resonates with you and all of your goals and things that you aspire to do in 2026. And then, where I want you to take this next, if you want to, is to write a paragraph, maybe like a truth statement about 2026. And then underline the word that keeps repeating itself in that statement, right? And it's really kind of a statement that really talks about, in truth, like what is it that you want to accomplish in all of those things that I mentioned before in work, in faith, in family, in living, in how you want to lead your life, how you want to be healthy, how you want to pick a good balance. So, really kind of encompass all of that and write a paragraph that encompasses that about what that looks like for you in 2026 and then underline the word that keeps repeating itself through that paragraph. That word should become the anchor, not because it's pretty, but because it's accurately describing and depicting how you're feeling. And don't look at things like you're not failing to pick a word or you're refusing to let the word oversimplify your season, but really kind of hone in on that word that is starting to become that anchor, because that restraint on the word is what equals wisdom. The restraint in this exercise versus just jumping into picking a word just randomly is really going to bring wisdom to you through this process. And look at things about like what feels close to you, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable or unfinished. Is it really describing what you want this year to be for you? We're not necessarily searching for inspiration, but we're actually listening so that we can move to inspiration, if that makes sense. I don't want you to pick a word that inspires you. I want you to pick a word that is actually something that you are feeling and that can move you to inspiration versus the other way around. Now, test out a few words, write them down, look at them, spend some time with them. You don't have to pick a word right now. And I actually think that it's important to pick a word after you've really assessed your goals and your dreams and your desires and what you want to allow for in 2026. So, this is not something that I just randomly say, hey, I'm going to pick a word today. It's really one of those things that has to come to me once I've aligned with all of the things that I want to do and accomplish in 2026. And then before you actually settle on a word, I want you to finish this sentence. Don't work too hard. This shouldn't be a hard exercise. So answer this question. In 2026, I want my life to feel blank. And that blank should not be a value. It should not be a goal, but it should be a felt experience. In 2026, I want my life to feel. And then add the word or words or sentence that so far in this exercise has jumped out at you, right? Has related to what you're doing. And sit with it. Maybe sit with 2 or 3, right? And it's okay if your word of the year isn't just a single word. It's okay if it's a 2 or 3 word sentence, right? Or if it's a sentence that has the word in it, but the sentence kind of defines what you want your year to look like and what you want your accomplishments to look like in this next year. So hopefully you have taken some time with that. And like I said, this is something that you can sit with, you can think through. There are a lot of people out there that like to do this pen and paper. There are people that would like to have a little bit of extra help or support or a place to bounce this off of. And so that might be an AI like Claude or like Chat GPT. And you can kind of ask these same questions, or you can even put a prompt in something like, hey, I'd like to pick a word for 2026. This is what my word was in 2025. This is how I reacted. This is how I moved through 2025. These are the things that I did that I didn't do. This is how I related it. Like, just type all of that stuff in ChatGPT and see how it responds to that. And then hopefully it will walk you through some additional questions or steps that kind of take you through this exercise, either directly or similarly to some of the things that we're talking through. Um, so with that, let me share with you what my word ended up looking like here for 2026. I'll kind of walk you through what it means and the why. So, my word that I ended up choosing is steadfast. And here's kind of my mantra that I built around it. I move forward with calm conviction. I build intentionally without rushing. I stay anchored in faith while remaining focused on results. I do not prove, I embody. I protect my peace, steward my resources, and trust my timing. So that is what steadfast means for me. And that's how I want to align things across all of the different activities, the processes, all of the things that I'm living and striving for in 2026. And I want to kind of walk through, these are some of the things that I went through and coming to that word, right? I was looking at things that I didn't want to change or that I did want to change or things that I was thinking or my thought process or so this kind of can give you another look into how to think about your word and how to walk through this and align with it. So I think one of the big things for me was I'm not late. And I don't mean showing up on time, although I am one of those people that's perpetually a little bit late, right? But I'm not late means that I'm not late to the party. I'm not late to the trend. I build so much of what we do on foundational marketing practices and how we can apply those to the things that are current today. And everything that we do is actually grounded in those foundational principles. And I think that's why so much of what we do is about consistency and versus just jumping on the latest trends because those trends go away. But if you align the foundations into the current landscape, you actually end up ahead of the game. And that's what is important for our clients and the things that we teach them. So in that respect, um, that's how I'm looking at it, right? I'm not late to a trend because I don't really rely on trends, right? I don't want to rush when I'm going in a steady direction. I'm already in motion, I'm already established, and I'm already on time. And that's the way that I want to move through the things that we're doing, the things that we're helping our clients with, and the things that I'm doing in my everyday life. The other thing that became important to me going into 2026 is that I want to move in a direction without pressure. So steadfast isn't passive. It's consistent forward movement without urgency. So I'm still setting goals. I'm still trying to hit and achieve milestones. I'm still building authority and I'm still working on accumulating wealth in a number of different areas, right? That's not just financial wealth, but it's wealth and health. It's wealth and faith. It's, wealth and knowledge. It's all of those different things. But I don't want to do it from a place of anxiety or high adrenaline. And then I also looked at, I want to continue to build authority. Um, I've built a pretty good reputation and a lot of authority over the last 35 plus years and what we've been doing and what we've been building. And so I want to continue that, but feel grounded in authority without having to feel like I have to prove myself all the time. And I think it's, as I open up and get a little bit vulnerable with you, there's so much stuff out there in the universe, right? There's so many people that are working in the marketing space that haven't been in it very long, right? They just have happened to find something that hit at the moment and it's that shiny new object and they're going to get out there and they're going to share it with the world and then they're going to go away, which is actually one of the ways that we built our agency because there were so many people that during the time of COVID just were dealing in transactional ways to build their business digitally versus brick and mortar. And so they would just hang on anything that was presented to them that would help them grow in the digital space. And then it was like they started to do it. And then that transaction became just that, a transaction. And the person who put that uh, direction out in the universe or that workbook or that white paper or that website or whatever went away. And so people got lost and then they didn't have any place to grow or continue in what they had hoped to build. And so they came to me to either meet them where they were at and continue that strategy, right? Or just realize that what they had done or become involved in wasn't the right thing or the right fit for them. And so then we built their strategy from the ground up. So for me, it was important to continue to build that authority without actually proving. I want to share from my experience. I want to lead from conviction, stop over explaining, let consistency speak. And so that's kind of where that came from for me. And then the other thing I looked at is faith um, and execution, right? Because faith and execution can actually coexist. So you can actually ground your business and everything that you're doing in faith, no matter what it is that you believe in, right? Like this is not necessarily have to be focused on religion. Although if you are, then, that is your faith and that becomes important in this process. So for me, steadfast allows prayer and planning. It allows trust and discipline. It allows manifestation and responsibility. It acknowledges the grace, doesn't replace effort, but it stabilizes it. And that's really where the word steadfast kind of plays into all of this for me. And then I went a little bit deeper to look at how should this show up for me. So when I look at steadfast and how I want to align with that word or how I want that word to align with me and kind of keep it in the back of my mind and all of this is that in work, we're actually focusing this year on fewer initiatives, but better execution. Decisions made once, and I don't want to have to revisit them endlessly. I want to be consistent with visibility and not just have spikes of effort. I want things to be really like even keel and not feel like we're hustling all the time, right? I want to have this grounded energy, not this frenetic energy, as I had mentioned earlier. In money, for me, saving is non negotiable. I don't want to make any financial decisions from stress. I want to make sure that I'm building long term security and over short term wins, right? So that's important to me too, especially the season in my life. Now, your season in life might be a little bit different. So you're going to look at this differently. I'm hoping that my experience can help you in choosing your word. And it doesn't even have to be a word. Like, I think these are just good grounded principles to think through as you're heading into 2026. So in leadership, the word steadfast for me should help me maintain a calm voice, clear boundaries, and authority through presence, not volume. And then in faith, I want to make sure that I'm continuing daily anchoring practices like prayer, reflection, meditation, those kinds of things, releasing outcomes that I can't control. So often things happen and I know I can't control the situation, but I just continue to think about it and how could I change things, and changing things and understanding how you could have made different decisions is good, but I can't always control the outcome of something. And those are things that I need to be able to release. And that's where I want faith to guide me in that. And then it's important for me to let grace carry what effort cannot. So I'm always trying to come from a place of grace and patience. And that's very hard for me. So it's basically regulating my power over how I live in 2026. And that's a really good place to um, move forward in. So I hope this helps you move forward with positive energy. And I hope that this helps you come from a grounded place and allows you to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish in this year of 2026. So, for more marketing information, strategies, and foundational practices, and experience from the agency, and all of those things, continue to join us on the Marketing Deconstructed podcast and follow us on social media at the number five, and Rise. You can also visit our website at fiveandrise.com. And my personal handle is at Jen White Official. And you're welcome to find me there and DM me with any questions or just show up and say hi. So we will see you soon on the Marketing Deconstructed podcast.